Hello. Mind is telling me I'm nuts to do this, but let me start out with the loss of Cuddles, my kitty cat who came home without his body last night. Things seem to be divided and dual in 3D. And I suppose if we take up a perspective that's level with 3D, that's how they seem. That doesn't mean I'm celebrating his loss. Is it a loss? I don't know. I mean, there's 3 of us now instead of 4, and Kismet had such a playmate in Cuddles, the cat who never hissed at him. But anyway, what is death? We know one side of the coin says it's not real. We know we're eternal. I don't know if our animal friends are exactly eternal, but they're certainly more long-lived than a body. I don't know about that. That's, I mean, heart knows everything, and it's good to know that heart knows it. But conscious access to it, well, that's the trick, right? So, of course there are tears. We miss the warm-blooded body. The purring, the particular sound of the voice, the meow. We've all lost someone by the time our body reaches this age. Multiple someones, both in the animal and human kingdoms. But are they lost? No. I mean, he did come home. He didn't bring his body with him, but I felt him, surely enough. So he's not lost. He's just shifted. I'm not going to make a platitude out of it and say, oh, he's gone ahead and, waiting for me over there. I try to keep mind out of it as much as I can. Mind is a good servant, but a terrible master. So, perhaps you've lost someone to suicide, car accident, something. I'm not equating the death of a kitty with the death of a person, but then again, on one level, they're all the same. I mean, these are images that we gin up, that we manufacture. That's what this dimension is about. And the beings that we really are not subject to it, but rather the creators of it. And so we choose to play by entering our creation. It's funny in a way. The stories about that, about the creators who came down and entered their creation. It's funny to come, maybe not full circle, but to come into it now, knowing that's how it is. It's kind of strange. So what I find myself doing in between the tears, is celebrating the life that he lived. And that he was here with me. And that we had a good time. When something is born into 3D, there's one sure thing. It will die. And kicking against that is kind of pointless now, isn't it? That may be the one thing that we can't fix. But to want to fix it is to be inserted maybe too deeply into 3D. Things as they are just fine. Even when they hurt. And so it gets down to choices. What choices do we make? And the delicate dance. We've got to be in heart, my friends, to do this. The delicate dance, because you don't want to be suppressing or repressing your feelings. They're worthy of being felt. They are what is. On the other hand, we have choices about where we place our attention, our focus, our energy, our creative power. And so, a time of mourning is a very reasonable thing. But what is that? What's mourning? Who's sad? Cuddles isn't. I mean, I don't think it was a particularly enjoyable scenario, him losing his life. But he's not sad. He didn't go anywhere. He's still here. We're in an age now when we're very close to, and there's no reason we can't reach out to be aware of the other beings around us. There was more of a vibrational blanket over that in the past. And, past couple of thousand years anyway. But that's spinning off now. It cannot retain its integrity, its cohesion in the face of the rising consciousness and frequency all around, being imposed and enforced by and through the sun. We're in the body of the sun, we're in the heliosphere, we're a part of the sun in that way. And the sun is the heart and soul of it. And it's in charge. The whole global warming thing occurring on all of the other planets too. I think there are some that probably try to keep that information secret so they can impose their taxes and play their financial domination games, their self-aggrandizement games. Oh well, they have free will too. It's our free will choice whether to play their games or not. So, no pointing fingers here. But what have we really lost when someone goes out of our life? A dear pet, a friend, a parent. What's gone? They're just as alive as they ever were. So what's gone is our 3D experience of them. And so we do the dance of acknowledging the loss and not minimizing it. At the same time, knowing they're not gone. Especially with a pet will come back to you when it loses its body and hang around. You'd be surprised at the company you keep. And so, let it be a goad to raise your own frequency, to be able to perceive them. You contain cosmos. If this be the case, you contain the pet, you contain the friend. That friend is within you. So, often it's our self-definition that's at fault. When we get kind of lost and stuck in the morning, we've more identified with the 3D manifestation than with who we are on a deeper level. That's not the case here. But it's something to look at. And so, the choice here is between focusing on the loss or focusing on what I have, which is a life made richer by Cuddle's presence in it. And that is a choice. Is that it? I certainly never set out to bring anyone down. But a life fully lived will have downtimes in it. And at least for myself, I found that running away from them in whatever various ways we choose, any number of times I physically moved, left a residence, even a state, for a change, which is how I looked at it. Part of the time it was a running away, but I wasn't seeing that then. I mean, you don't see something until you see it. That's just how that is. And yet, are you acknowledging that no matter what you ever said, did, or thought, you were doing the best you could at the time? The more self-love we insert into this matrix, the better. We're the creators. And it's wise to be aware of our power to create. Then we take the thoughts that we choose to think differently. We're aware of the creative power in and behind them. We're coming into our own. And things won't be anything like we thought they would. So, seems to me it's a really good idea to drop those thoughts, those expectations that we place on the future. There's a wisdom in knowing nothing, in knowing that you don't really know anything. The things that you think you know now are just your current hypotheses of how it all works, or those belonging to mind. It's good just to be, and to be in your fullness. And everyone's fullness has death in it. In the West, it is so bizarre how we treat death and the whole mortuary commercialism that you can't say it's been foisted upon us. You know, we've participated in this whole dance that we're doing here. And again, that's empowering, because then you know you can participate in changing it. But we run away from death. It's got to be made nicey-nicey. The empty container has got to be made pretty. The Buddhists often meditate in the presence of death. The real kind, you know, without the chemicals injected into the body to make it nicey-nicey. It's a part of Mother Earth. And whether it goes back to Mother Earth by natural decomposition, by fire, by cremation, or burial, it's fine. It just is what is, you know, the entry and exit into the play. It's 3D. Time to grow up, folks. Time to wake up and recognize that we are not these 3D forms. We allowed ourselves to be convinced that we were. It was a part of the play. Let that go. Let that die. And see what you find in its place. Sending love.